I want to start this video off by having a disclaimer that I'm not doing this to hate on the game. I'm not doing this because I just want it to fail. I'm doing this because I think that overall we need to give fans a bit of a voice here, and we need to go over the fact that NASCAR 21 has been a complete disaster so far. There's no way around it. If you say otherwise, I don't know what you're saying. And I'll get to some of the points that people might bring up later of why it's not that bad, but really it is. And it's sad to me. But going into it, I just want to say that the fan response to this game has been one that I don't think I've ever seen in really any game that I've been interested in so far. I've seen games before that have really disappointed a fan base. I've seen games before that have angered fan bases. I've seen games before that are just more of the droning same. But this to me is completely different. This is a game that had all the hype in the world behind it, had all the reassurances in the world behind it, and ended up really displeasing the fan base to a level that I don't really think I have seen. There was a ton of hope going into this game, and me personally, I was cautiously optimistic. I thought that it looked better. I think it does look better most of the time, but the big thing about it is that I knew that I couldn't give myself that much hope because of how many times I've been burned before. But it was a new company, it was a new game, new engine, new everything, so I wanted to give it a shot. And a lot of fans were the same way, and a lot of fans were very hopeful that this would finally be the game that would end the dry spell of not having a good NASCAR console game. And to see what has really become of it, what 2 years or over 2 years of work has been put into it, is in all honesty heartbreaking as a NASCAR gamer. Motorsports Games so far, I will say, has handled this much better than I think 704 and a lot of that old crew would, but at the same time, I think that they need to do more. I personally, if I were them, would just be outright with it and say, listen, we know the game sucks. Just be straightforward with it. Know that this game is not complete. Know that the fans are completely and rightfully outraged with it, and just outright tell them, we know. Go out there and ask for help from them. Go to people who are the most critical of the game and ask for help. Even if you don't like what they have to say, show a little bit of an olive branch there to try and save any semblance of sanity that the fans will have towards any of the next games. Because even if the next games are good, fans are not going to trust you after the train wreck you've just given them. And this is now a train wreck that is nearly a month into the process of being public, and to be completely honest, there hasn't really been much improvement. The improvement we've seen has been stuff that is just minuscule in general. While it works better on PC compared to consoles, it's still a giant slap in the face to anyone who spent $60 on this. I have to say I'm glad for the people who got their refunds, but for those who didn't, I feel bad for you. I don't feel bad in like a joking way either. I feel bad that you probably had all the hope in the world that this would be a great game, and it completely fell flat on its face. What would make me personally happy for something that Motorsports Games could do is to give a complete plan of how you're gonna be fixing these things. Just don't do it on the fly. Just don't do it through tweets. Don't put your community manager on the frickin' hanger for it. Give a clear and concise plan. When certain things will be added in, a timetable at least on what you think, something that can really give fans a little bit of a reassurance that this game will be a bit better. And the thing is that if you keep doing this and you keep having to completely overhaul different parts of NASCAR 21, it's inevitably going to seep into the process of getting NASCAR 22 off the ground. A game that, in all honesty, should be better, I would think would be better. You see, this may possibly be the worst game that NASCAR fans have had yet. And the problem is, and I'll talk about it too a little bit after this, but it has potential. It really does. But because of all of the setbacks, all of the glitches, all of the things missing from the game, it is honestly the worst NASCAR game I've ever seen in that regard. NASCAR Heat Evolution was bad. It was really, really bad. But the thing is that it was up front in being bad, and it was relatively playable. NASCAR 2011, the game, was a bad game. I don't care what a lot of your nostalgic thoughts tell you. It was a bad game. But at the same time, if you got with the right people, it was playable. If you got in the right race, even against AI, it could be playable. Even with its setbacks, it still had basic things in a NASCAR game: a rear view mirror, a gas gauge, cautions that worked without crashing the game. And I know I'm treading over old ground, but the thing is that this stuff cannot be stated enough, in my opinion. It has to be pushed across ad nauseum, because if not, they could cut corners with it. And I don't want to continuously harp on the same things, but the problem is that as a fan base, you need to be loud enough that they hear everything you're saying, every minute detail that's wrong with the game, they need to hear. So say it. Don't be afraid to say it. Don't go and think that, oh, well, they'll be mad at me or they won't talk to me if you're a content creator. Don't go and, as a fan, think, well, I don't want to rock the boat or get blocked. Say what needs to be said. If they don't like it, they don't like it. What's going to happen? Because overall, this is going to have a huge effect on NASCAR's console gaming. NASCAR's console gaming so far after the Heat series was on life support. I said it at the start of 2021, and I still agree with what I said to this day. This was the most important NASCAR game ever for console gaming. It was. You might not like how it ended out, but unfortunately, because of how bad it is, this is going to have lasting ripple effects in the NASCAR community for probably the next decade or two. Console gaming overall, I think, is at a crossroads. You look at PC gaming comparably, you look at a lot of simulators in the NASCAR and racing community in general, like in iRacing, and you see a lot more people picking this up. Not everybody can, so that's where console gaming fits in. But this game, as I've said before and kind of said so far today, it reaffirms all the fears that we've had, especially that even though I don't think the company is like this, it feels like the company is kind of complacent with it, that they put out a subpar product just so they can fulfill a contractual obligation. And I don't like saying that because I don't think that they are complacent, but the thing is that for the majority of fans, especially ones who don't pay attention to every video, who don't get in the main discourse with it, who are just wanting to pick it up to have some fun, it looks like complete half-assed complacency. And that's, again, where Motorsports Games needs to come up front and just say, listen, we effed up. We need to fix it. Being upfront and honest will go a long way. Because like I said before, this game has potential. That's what sucks about it. Every single game we see that's better than the last one, or in this case, worse than the last couple, they always have some kind of potential. And potential is great, but potential really doesn't get you anywhere. Potential is just an excuse that people can use to kick the can down the road to the next potential game. It's the same thing we've heard throughout the last 5 games with the Heat series. The wait till next year. Oh, this one might not be great, but next year's will be better. We've heard the same excuses over and over again. It is up to Motorsports Games. It is up to people who are playing the games, content creators, whoever, who have gotten the game, to flat out change the narrative. Give a constructive narrative. Yes, you don't have to go and rip on the game. I don't think that people who are trying to be positive about the game are shilled. But at the same time, we need to have every piece of the conversation having light put upon it. If we are to get a good game at some point by 2030 at this rate, we need to have a complete overhaul of the discourse of this game. We need people who will point out the positives, because as much as people who hate this game want to say there aren't any, there are positives to this game, even if they don't shine through too much. But we also need to have people who will bring up the negatives, who will bring up what needs to be changed, and even people who don't bring up stuff that needs to be changed in general, who are generally being negative, those thoughts need to come across, because I can guarantee you that expresses a feeling of, if not most of the fan base, a good probably plurality of the fan base who is just downright angry and needs to be listened to. Listen, this is why I don't pre-order games, and that's why I tell you, don't pre-order games if you don't know much about them. You always have to wait and see. Listen, I'm going to hold what I said all along through the Heat games and through the process coming up to this game, is that I will not buy a game unless I know it's good, unless people who I'm friends with, content creators I watch, reviewers that I trust, unless they all say that this is a good game, or at least a serviceable game, or whatever the next ones might be. Well, if NASCAR 22 or 23 is a good or serviceable game, if they don't say it, if they say that they have problems, or that they keep using the potential word, because that's the thing, potential right now is just a buzzword. If they keep using these, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to drop $60 on something that is an unfinished product. And I think that's a strategy that a lot of people need to go down. The whole, you need to spend money so the game company will be able to make a better game and spend more. That's great and all, but NASCAR fans have been over and over told this and really not gotten substantial changes. I bring this up a lot. People who are more positive about NASCAR 21 and Motorsports Games hate when I bring this up, but it is true. Why do we have games that people are going back to from 2003 and 2004, the mid-2000s, or even some of the games from the early 2000s? Why are games that are 15 to 20 years old getting more traffic now and have more staying power now than the ones made today will ever have? It's because they have a complete and full product put forth. Listen, I'm not a fan of the Heat games, but I can at least appreciate NASCAR Heat 4 was an average game. I could play it, generally not have too many bugs, still have a couple bugs that were pretty bad, but still be able to play it and know that I could have a good time with people. I can't say that with the current game. I've played it. It can be fun. It really can be. But the game bugs right now are completely ruining any experience. Whether you play the best version they have, which is the one that they had at the track, or you play the version that everybody else got. I hate having to bring this stuff up. I really do. I hate that we have to once again have this conversation, but we do. And so what I want to do now is have us continue this conversation down in the comments below. I want you guys to tell me what stuff you like about the game and what stuff you dislike. Because even if I didn't bring anything forth that Motorsports Games might be able to hear and change, which I think I did, but if I didn't, maybe you guys in the comments can add to stuff I say or bring up stuff I didn't say. So I want you to leave everything pros and cons in the comments below, because right now this game is atrocious. While you're at it, leave a like in this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.